Yes. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Mike. Yes, give it up.
Seneca, we missed you, but we're glad you're taking care of your girls.
Yes.
And thanks. We're really lucky to have Mike, y'all.
Yeah. And the song was written by Amy Steinberg, and she is just an amazing lyricist and artist. And she's going to visit us in April. So more details coming soon. And we'll be very excited about that. And we have some of her CDs in the bookstore too. So if you want to pick it up and start to listen and get inspired for what's to come soon with more Amy Steinberg live. Yes. So, happy February. It's a new month. How many of y'all had the opportunity to get a little sunshine, a little vitamin D yesterday? Oh, glorious. Grateful for that sun in February. You know, it's like the contrast, right? The darkness, and then the light comes one day, and it's only in the 50s, but it just feels like, yes. And February is also Black History Month, and we are going to be looking at that throughout this month and weaving in stories of our history, our American history, and specifically of African American history and stories that really fit with this month's theme, which is divine discomfort. So when the Signs of Mind magazine posted the theme on social media, divine discomfort, the first comment that came through, I noticed it just said, why? I was like, okay, interesting. And, you know, it's like the paradox, right? You have the word divine, and then you have discomfort. And there are still some in our movement that would say, just focus on the divine. And we don't need to talk about the discomfort. Why would you even bring that? Like, why would you even want to put that into the energy field, right? Well, the thing is, life is not always comfortable. And the way that we have paired these words together, divine discomfort, is going to open us up to experience something that we can only experience through the overcoming, through the transformation of discomfort, such that it is divine. So as we know, life is not always comfortable. In fact, birth itself, our very moment of awakening into this world in this human form, is a shift from the comfort, warm nature of the womb, all of a sudden to the bright light, stark, cold reality of this human life. So divine discomfort is how we are brought into the world. Life, as we know, we get to experience the magnificent and the complicated and the nuanced experiences, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flow, all of these things that make up our experience. And then we are the ones that get to choose how we name it. So it is all part of this reality. And when we are resisting those would that be the ebb or the flow? Probably the ebb. When we're resisting the ebb, then we are othering it, separating from it, judging from it, and there lies the suffering. We are always spiraling upwards in our evolutionary, evolving consciousness of who we are. And with those spiral upwards, if you notice, right, there's moments of down and then up and down and then up. But we are always rising and growing and expanding because such is the nature of life, such is the nature of the universe. And who are we but the very expression of that divine life? So even though we're bound to experience times of discomfort and pain and suffering, there is also the moments of joy and pleasure and peace, and together it becomes the wholeness of our reality. This month we're exploring this idea based on something Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded this teaching, called divine discontent. Divine discontent is those moments of the pain pushing, right? The uncomfortability of being in a situation or a place or stage of your life that no longer fits, right? We all have moments where we kind of outgrow things, just like we've all have moments where we perhaps have outgrown a pair of pants that suddenly become a little too tight and are a little uncomfortable. But it's showing us that we are expanding. So if we were to not judge the expansion, but embrace the expansion, it's like that moment, right, of just ready to burst into a new evolution, a new form, a new way of being. It's like our current skin no longer fits or no longer is a fit for who we are now, and we must shed that skin. And how we do this is through embracing the discomfort and allowing space for transformation. So we do this both individually in our own lives, and we can see this occurring collectively as the outpicturing of our collective consciousness, right? So if we look around our society, our world right now, we can see a lot of discomfort. We notice a lot of discontentment, perhaps. And that's okay to notice. Because if we weren't paying attention and we didn't notice, things couldn't change. So just like Martin Luther King Jr. says, I am proud to be maladjusted, right? Like we are proud to be maladjusted. We don't want to be adjusted to a society that accepts othering. We don't want to be adjusted and comfortable in a world that laws are based on racism, all the isms, homophobia, right? We have to notice the pain and the discomfort to then allow a new idea to be burst through. So divine discontentment is when things just don't feel right because we have grown and expanded in our own consciousness, our own belief system, and those old ways no longer serve us. And just as the old laws and ways and paradigm of power over and othering and separation and dominance and greed and all these things that we see in our world, war and conflict, these things no longer serve who we are becoming. And transformation occurs through embracing these various stages of discomfort as we grow and outgrow certain ways of beings and habits and patterns and beliefs. Just like we don't say or do or act or hopefully believe the same things we did 10 or 20 years ago, right? I hope, at least. We are always growing and expanding, and therefore things are always changing. So life is about learning to navigate this constant change, which means life can be uncomfortable in moments. So it's important to remain aware, to notice the discomfort and lean in to see what it's trying to tell us. Not just to buy another larger size of pants or perhaps one with an elastic waistband, but just the way that the discomfort is telling us something in our lives. What is this discomfort in our relationships, in our finances, in our creative expression? What is the discomfort telling us? Otherwise, if we're just okay with going along to get along with the status quo, we're just stuck. So we get to lean in, to pay attention, notice the discontent. And don't just push it away as something negative, right? Notice it, lean in and ask what it is trying to tell us, and then choose to shift or pivot. Otherwise, we're like that meme, right, of the little boy that's like stuck holding on to a log in a rapid river, and his legs are out. He's like, ah, right? And then if you kind of expand the view, like right there is like an adult standing up in like a foot of water with a hand out, right? Just like stand up. But we're holding on to the raft like, ah, down the river, when all we have to do is stand up. Pay attention. Notice, what is it trying to tell me? Expand our perspective. Calm down. Breathe enough to let go of the fear and to stop resisting what's happening. And then we can open to a new possibility. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance. One of my favorite quotes, right? So when you feel the pressure, the discomfort, the pain of, something is not working in various whatever aspect of your life, perhaps you are experiencing divine discontent. Because nature, life itself, the universe, will not allow us to stay stagnant, because that is not the nature of the universe. So when we let go, we can notice that discomfort and ask then, what is the gift? What is the message? Where are we being called to open our perspective, to shift, to pivot, to change? And this discomfort of change arises from our resistance to it, yes? It's not the change itself that's necessarily so hard. It's the resistance to even wanting to change, because our brain is hardwired. We have neural pathways that get these deep grooves in our mind. So not only is this spiritual, this is neuroscience, y'all. So our body is telling us, oh, but this is comfortable. And the more we go the same route, the more we do this, our brain says comfort, safety. So we still have that amygdala in our part of our brain that wants that comfort. And yet the higher calling of evolving is to notice and not let that amygdala brain hold us back from actually being and doing all we are here to be. Because our minds tend to hold on to those familiar patterns, whether they are really healthy or serve us or not. We will hold on to the relationship because it's comfortable, even if it's not the best. So we hold on and then resist change, and that causes the pain and the suffering, the discomfort and the divine discontentment. And here's the gift. As soon as we choose to notice, to allow, to surrender, to stop resisting, and perhaps invite in the gift of the discomfort, there is the shift, is the opportunity, right? The way out is through. That baby in the womb sure would have liked to stayed in the comfort, but something urging within them, this life force was saying, it's time now, baby. It's time. There's a new experience to be had. That the safety of the womb may feel really great right now, but just wait. You have a whole new life ahead of you, right? And even once we are born into this physical form, we have that opportunity to be born and born and born again to greater expansions and levels of awareness and consciousness and experience. So the resistance can manifest as the doubt and the fear, clinging to the past. And these things can often influence then how we perceive and respond to change, or how we even perceive opportunities. Perhaps we don't even notice them as opportunities because we are holding on. And once we begin to lean in, we can shift and we can allow for the personal growth and evolution and transformation to occur within us and on behalf of the entire collective consciousness. So I invite you now just to think about, make this practical in your life, right? Where do you notice resistance showing up mostly in your life? Where does resistance show up? Particularly resistance to change, to doing something new or different, right? And what is it that keeps those old ideas, or rather, what are those old ideas that keep us stuck in the past and preventing our growth, right? Where are we living in the safety and comfort as opposed to embracing the possibility of the new? It's easier to stay safe in a way because we've been conditioned to avoid pain and fear. Yet, as Neil Donald Walsh is credited with saying, life begins at the end of our comfort zone. We're missing the fullness of life and the fullness to be experienced in this grand world if we are choosing to stay stuck, clinging to the fear and the doubt and the pain, because we are so afraid to change that even the pain has become comfortable and safe. But if we can notice and separate ourselves a little bit from being so in it to being able to observe the experience, through that observation, we can remember the pain is always temporary. I know we have all overcome something in this room many times, and we are here. We're here. We showed up. We're present. We got dressed and we got out of bed, or we clicked the button and we tuned in today. That shows us that we are ready. We are ready to hear this message, and we are ready to experience something new. Because the pain is temporary and we will overcome. Lean in, surrender, trust, allow for something new to be birthed. If we let it, the pain and discomfort can be a guide, leading us to greater opportunities of awareness, of healing, resilience, and strength. And if you're not quite sure if you're in resistance, here are a few things to pay attention to. Notice if you have the tendency to make others wrong, right? To defend your position and make others wrong. Or perhaps if you find you often are judging ideas or things that you don't understand, and you just judge it. No. Or perhaps you are jumping from relationship to relationship when things get hard in order to avoid the pain and discomfort. Avoiding certain people or places because we want to stay comfortable, right? These are ways that we can notice that we are in resistance to the flow of life that is leading and guiding us to greater expression and expansion and new opportunities. And when we pay attention, we can take that moment to pause and breathe, which then physically calms down the nervous system, gets us out of that fight, flight, or freeze, so we can see with the new eyes and the awareness and the perspective of what's needing to be realized and make a new choice. Lean in, hold hands with the discomfort, and ask for its gifts and messages, remembering that it's only temporary. But it's here as a guide with an opportunity for growth. As that song says, when we're broken open, that's where the light comes in. So life demands growth and expansion and change and transformation. Like you look at nature and the plants in spring, we're going to be able to start seeing soon the resistance and the resilience rather. It doesn't resist, it may want to. If it had a consciousness, I don't know what the little seedling is thinking, but it may say, no, it's warm in here. I'm going to stay here, right? But then the sun comes out and calls it. It's like calling it, right? And it's like, ooh, because you watch your plants, they're leaning, at least mine are right now, they're all leaning towards the window. They're like, hey, give me some more light, right? So the sun is calling us. Life itself is calling us to emerge from our little seedlings of comfort and stretch and expand and grow. And we don't know perhaps what it's going to look like. But if we're willing to trust, we will get to experience something we've never experienced before. I guarantee you that. Dr. Emmett Fox, another New Thought writer, he says, change is the law of the universe. Without change, the world would not merely remain in a static state, but it would soon become stale and stagnant. Ugh. Without change, there would be no progress, for change is the essence of betterment. And when I read that, I thought of, stagnant water. And that stagnant water that starts to smell, and then it starts to breed mosquitoes. No, thank you, right? No one wants to be that. No one wants to be the stale, stagnant, place for mosquitoes to be born. I don't know. At least I don't. So this energy of life, that's the thing. It's like we can feel it pushing up against our growing edges, that vibration of like the sun calling us, and it's pushing us. And if we're in resistance, that push and pain and pull, that game is so painful. But if we allow and resist and stop resisting and lean into it, a new possibility is born. We notice this sometimes when different aspects of our life begin to become more painful. Perhaps there's a message there. Something isn't like, this used to always flow, and now and it doesn't always mean leave or quit, by the way, right? It wants something new to be experienced. And there is great gifts to be learned when sticking through the growth in a relationship, when moving through the resistance in a career or job or a certain environment, right? So listen and lean in. Notice, ask, because this isn't like one answer, right? The divine discontentment, the discomfort has a message that only those of us that are experiencing in that moment can receive the answer. That's the gift of intuition, of insight, of divine knowing. Dan Stevens has a podcast, and he's also an actor from Downton Abbey. And he says in his podcast, My Week on the Porch, it's called, the comfort zone is the great enemy to creativity. Moving beyond it necessitates, I can't look at it, I have to just, right? Necessitates. So moving beyond our comfort zone necessitates intuition, which in turn configures new perspectives and conquers fears. That intuition, that's something within us that is guiding us, that is leading us, just like it led Harriet Tubman to do the unimaginable, to overcome the comfort once she herself was freed. She knew that there was something greater for her to do. Life would not let her remain stagnant in her new place of comfort. She was called and she listened. And that intuition guided her this way, this time, that way, here, there, for something that led to so many people's lives being saved and freed. There has to be such a message in that, right? When we listen and get in that flow of intuition and allow that guidance, what is possible? Something within us knows. So this week, I invite you to embrace the power of change and unlock your potential for transformation. And I'm going to break it down in 3 easy steps. Sometimes we just right? We just need a few. So here's your little formula if you like formulas. So the first one, embrace change. I didn't say these are going to be easy, but they're just going to be easy to remember. Embrace change. Recognize that change is the natural part of life and is an opportunity for growth. So choose to embrace change with an open mind and a willingness to explore new possibilities. Second, challenge those negative thoughts, those patterns that tempt us to stay comfortable. Right? Challenge those old patterns and then replace them with a new empowering belief that supports our growth and transformation. So let me give you a quick example to this. So when you are moving forward, feeling called on a new life path or journey, you're like, okay, I'm going to embrace the change. And then all of a sudden the self-doubt comes up and says, but who are you really? Challenge that voice within your head. And you tell it who you are really. Oh, actually, I am the divine made manifest. I am here to be, do, and become all that I desire. And I have within me the strength and the power of the entire universe. That wisdom that lives within inherent every seed on this beautiful planet lives within me. So we challenge those old patterns by creating new grooves in our mind and continuing to use our spiritual practice through affirmations and affirmative prayer to realign to where that then becomes the predominant groove. So number 1, we embrace change. Number 2, we're going to challenge those negative thoughts and replace them with the truth. And the third step, cultivate awareness. Developing a practice of mindful awareness to observe your thoughts. Notice your emotions, check in, right? Start to practice, like we talked last month, those little micro moments of mindfulness. The daily habits of checking in, dropping in, just a breath. How am I feeling today? What's going on, right? Noticing the sensations in our bodies, noticing our thoughts. So as we cultivate this awareness, we can then notice what it feels like when we are resisting change. And then instead of just being caught up in the resistance, we're like, oh, what's happening right now is I'm in resistance. And simply being able to notice it and name it puts you back in the driver's seat, because now you're in the place of power to do something about it, to shift, to pivot, to remind yourself of the truth, and then to realign with what you desire. By becoming conscious of your inner patterns, you can consciously choose new perspectives and responses that then align with what you desire. So remember, Change is an opportunity for self-growth and spiritual expansion. And as we do this work within our own lives, we have the opportunity to make that shift for the entire collective consciousness. So are you willing?
Yes.
Are you willing? Yes. Are you willing to embrace change? Yes. All right. Are you willing to challenge those negative thoughts and replace them with the truth?
Yes.
And are you going to cultivate awareness and mindfulness?
Yes.
Okay, good. You said yes, so I'm going to remind you now. And you have each other to remind you. All right. Let's take this into prayer. Taking a nice deep breath. And just dropping into that heart space, that center, some call it the seat of the soul. Allowing your breath to bring you right here, right now, to that place of pure awareness, that place where we know and recognize the infinite possibility of life, where we see, feel, and know that life, God, spirit, universe is love, is peace, is wholeness, is joy. And that this one life is the very essence and nature of all life. So therefore, there is only one activity happening right here, right now. Showing up in many ways, in many forms, but this one divine life, this one divine activity is moving in as and through me, in as and through all of life, right here, right now. So in this moment, from this place of oneness and awareness, I choose to be awake and aware. I choose to notice, to lean into the discomfort and ask, what is mine to know, to do, to be? What are the gifts? What is this here to teach me? So I know that there is a power greater than I am that is who I am. And I lean into this power to emerge right here, right now within me, to lead and to guide me to all that I'm here to do, be, and become. And I remain awake and aware and willing to navigate this thing called life, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, making nothing bad or wrong, nothing good, bad, right or wrong. It just is. And I accept life for what it is. And I am willing to always remember the truth and to let love lead the way, listening to that inner voice, that inner guidance, that divine insight, that light that is calling me to rise up to a new awareness, a new level of thinking, and to remember what is possible. Oh, and I am so grateful. I am so grateful to know that right where I am, love is. I am so grateful to know that I am power, that strength lives within me. And with great gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer, I release it now into the action of the law that always says, yes, 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 my beloved, it is done and it is so. And together we say, and so it is.